Imagine a world without the comforts of modern life, where your day begins with the sunrise and ends with the starlight. Welcome to our channel, where history comes alive. Today we're taking you back to the year 1520 to spend an entire day in the life of a typical farmer. It was the year 1520, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and a meandering river. There lived a farmer named Ali. His life was completely different from ours today. There were no electric lights to illuminate his nights, no noisy machines to fill his days, no cell phones to distract him, and no fast cars to zoom around. Ali's world was painted in the colors of simplicity, hard work, and a deep connection with nature. Let us step into Ali's world and see how one of his days unfolded. Experiencing the essence of life in a village in 1520, the morning mist was just starting to lift as Ali awoke. The cock-a-doodle-doo of a rooster echoed through the stillness of the pre-dawn air, rousing not only Ali, but most of the village from their slumber. He slowly opened his eyes, blew out the small oil lamp beside him, and sat up. Water from a clay pot beside him splashed onto his hands and face, providing a refreshing wash. The first rays of sunlight were beginning to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. After a quick wash, Ali, along with many others in the village, would begin his day with prayer. For Ali, his faith was the bedrock of his life, and starting his day with prayer helped him center himself and remember what truly mattered. As the sun climbed higher, Ali finished his prayers and turned towards his field, his wooden plow in hand. His young son, Amjad, followed closely behind, eager to learn the ways of farming from his father. The fields were their lifeblood, and Ali wanted to pass down the knowledge of working them to his son. As they walked, the morning chorus of birds filled the air, a melody that marked the start of another workday. In the fields, Ali and Amjad were met by the other farmers of the village, all preparing the land for planting. The work was hard and required strength and endurance. Ali guided his 2 oxen with a steady hand, their slow but sure steps turning the soil as they moved. The rhythm of their walk was soon accompanied by the creak of the wooden plow and the soft thud of hooves on the packed earth. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, the fields came alive with activity. Some farmers bent down to sow seeds with practiced hands, while others cut the grass or managed the flow of water from the irrigation canals. These canals, small channels dug from the nearby river, carried precious water to every part of the farmland, ensuring that each plant received its share. In the fields, Ali worked alongside his fellow villagers, sharing stories and jokes to lighten the heavy labor. He taught his son the best techniques for tilling the soil and the importance of respecting the land. As the morning wore on, the sun climbed higher, casting its warm glow over the hard-working farmers. Back at the village, Ali's wife, Zara, was busy at her loom, transforming raw materials like wool into usable cloth for their family. Her fingers flew deftly over the threads, creating intricate patterns and designs. Women in the village were not only responsible for tasks like cooking and childcare, but also played a significant role in spinning, weaving, and preserving grains for the future. Meanwhile, their children were out with the goats or tending to the cows, learning the responsibilities that came with their roles in the household. Life in the year 1520 was not just about work. It was a community effort where everyone, regardless of age or gender, had a role to play. As the morning progressed, Ali felt the familiar pangs of hunger, a reminder that midday was approaching. Farming was strenuous work, and hunger was a constant companion. However, there was no clock to dictate mealtimes. Nature and the work at hand determined when Ali and the other farmers would take their break. When they decided it was time to rest, Ali led his oxen to a shaded area near the fields. The animals, too, needed a break from the labor. As the farmers settled down, they ate their simple lunches, which typically consisted of flatbreads made from flour or barley, perhaps some lentils and onion chutney, and occasionally a slice of cheese or yogurt. They drank water carried in leather bags or gourds, drawing it from the village well, a central structure in most villages that provided access to clean water. Meals were not just about sustenance, but also a time for sharing stories, discussing the latest village news, and strengthening bonds of community. For Ali, this midday break was also an opportunity to check in with his son, Amjad, to see how he was faring and offer any guidance. Teaching his son was a priority, ensuring that the younger generation was prepared for the life that awaited them. As the midday sun began its slow climb towards the zenith, Ali and the other farmers knew it was time to return to work. The hours from noon to sunset were precious, and they had to make the most of them. Wiping the sweat from their brows, they stood up and stretched, readying themselves for another round of labor. Once again, they got down to their tasks, the rhythmic sounds of their work filling the air. The sun beat down warmly, but the farmers, accustomed to the heat, pressed on, driven by their need to provide for themselves and their families. As the sun began its descent, the farmers put down their tools, their bodies aching but their spirits high. With the last rays of sunlight, they looked at their work, the fields now ready for sowing, and felt a sense of accomplishment. As they walked back to the village, they were greeted by the sight of smoke rising from chimneys, a comforting signal that dinner was soon going to be ready. The walk back was filled with chatter, the stories of the day blending with the laughter. Upon reaching their homes, the farmers washed themselves, not just to remove the dirt of the fields, but also to refresh themselves after a long day's work. The women of the house had already started preparing dinner, and soon the aroma of cooking filled the air, making mouths water in anticipation. Evenings were not just about rest, but also about community. Villagers gathered in groups, sharing news and engaging in lively discussions. Young men might have played traditional games or instruments, while women sang folk songs or told stories. Children ran around, their laughter echoing in the twilight, finding joy in the simplest of things. As darkness fell, the sky transformed into a canvas of twinkling stars. People freed from the constraints of daylight gathered around, pointing out constellations and sharing myths and legends associated with them. These celestial bodies, so distant yet so visible, became a source of fascination and wonder. With no electricity to light their way, oil lamps or candles provided the only illumination. These soft, flickering lights created a cozy atmosphere as families sat together, sharing meals and stories. For many, this evening gathering was the highlight of their day, a time for bonding and relaxation after a long day of work. As the night deepened, people retired to their beds, their bodies weary from a day of activities. Sleep came easily, offering a respite before the next day's dawn. And so, this is how a typical farmer's day in the year 1520 might have gone. Life was tough. There were challenges aplenty, diseases, the threat of bandits, and the unpredictability of weather. But amidst these hardships, there was a deep sense of community, faith, and a connection with nature that provided solace and strength. We hope you enjoyed spending a day in the life of a farmer in 1520. If you do like to explore more historical time capsules, let us know in the comments. We love bringing history to life for you. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.